This is underwater rugby. It's basically rugby. With fins instead of shoes.
A ball that sinks, not float.
With baskets instead of goal line. Oh yeah, by the way, we do all of that while holding our breath.
Easy day.
People used to see a lot of mantas around. Recently, we haven't really been seeing them much. There could be many reasons why. It could be bycatch or pressure from fisheries, or it might even be the interaction that we have with the manta rays. What a lot of people still don't know is that their pictures and their video could help the research a lot as well. The spot patterns on the belly of the mantas would be similar to our fingerprints. So this way we can identify them. We can recognize them and then we keep it as a database. There's still a lot to learn and find out why they're not really in the area anymore. It's the only thing that I could do to help protect these species that I love so much.
you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another live webinar spotlight on diving timepiece introduction. So tonight we would like to spotlight on Luminox diving timepiece, and I'm very, very happy and glad to have Pamela Tan from Singapore. She is to be with us tonight to share more about this Luminox timeless timepiece. She is the Senior Brand Manager of Crystal Times Singapore Private Limited, where this brand is being distributed by Crystal Time in Singapore, Malaysia, and Brunei. So yeah, I believe Pamela and myself are divers, right, Pamela?
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
right.
I believe since we both are divers, we pay a lot of attention to the importance of the safety of the diving before and also after. Okay.
Yes.
So before we zoom into the topic, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Carter, the part of the organizing team of ADEX, and today we are doing a ADEX Pixel Virtual Expo online. And I have Pamela Tan today with us as well, who will be sharing more about this Luminox timepiece. And I believe, Pamela, you yourself bring this Luminox dive watches diving with you personally, correct?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because I think when you go diving, right, it's very important to, like you mentioned, safety is number one. A lot of us are too dependent on dive computers because of the convenience it provides for us. But the more you bring, let's just put it this way: if you have an electronic goods with you, the failure rate is also much, much higher. So I always wear with me a dive watch whenever I go diving, just purely as a backup to keep track of time as well. Yes, that is also very important when you go diving, but I think time spent underwater would be just as important. Like for example, if your dive computer dropped into the seabed, how can you tell how long is your dive? How can you tell how long your decompression timing should be at this level? You can maybe estimate that from the sunlight that comes through if you're diving in the day, but you can't really estimate time. Yes, time you can estimate, but if you have a watch, you know for sure that time would be a bit more accurate to help you keep track of your dive time underwater as well. Yeah,
And of
so
course,
one of the watches, all the watches that I have here are actually all related to dive or diving watches. So just to bring back everyone back to basics. So how you keep track of time when you're underwater. Okay, so a very clear example will be here. Okay, so if you look carefully at the time now, this is about, sorry, I can't see myself. Sorry, yeah.
I think you have to redo the video. Yep, yeah. You're back online. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So if you look at this watch now, it says about 10:40. Okay. So just to show you how you can use time, it's very difficult to memorize. Like, hey, I need to I'll be diving for 40 minutes. So it means at 11:10 I need my dive will end. So just to make sure you can enjoy your dive a little bit more, make use of what we call the countdown bezel here. If you take a very close look at the countdown bezel, a countdown bezel usually is an indicator from 0 to 60, indicating for the minutes. So how you make use of this is you rotate the bezel here to match the minute hand. So let me just get it going. Yeah, so you can see over here the bezel matches the minute hand. Okay, so the start of the bezel matches the minute hand. So if you want to dive for 40 minutes, so if you would just want to dive for 40 minutes, you can check the bezel here. So once your minute hand reaches the indicator which says, let's say like 40, okay, you know it's time to get out of the water. Okay, so it's a great, a watch at the end of the day is meant to be a backup tool. It's meant to be easy to use. You know, you don't have too much numbers happening. Yeah, and that's why I bring down my Luminox watch with me when I go diving. Yeah, and some other reasons why I choose Luminox. I mean, other than we're the distributors for it, is that Luminox is also the one of the first customers of Luminox is actually the Navy SEALs. So the Navy SEALs was one of our biggest endorsement in that sense, even though they never officially made an announcement about it. But the Navy SEALs are well known for military activities in both sea. They're well known for military activities in sea, land, and air. So, and they actually started their heritage mission. A lot of their missions actually started off in combat sea. So a lot of our Luminox watches, especially for the dive watches, actually feature the Navy SEAL logo at the back. And we are probably the only one at this price point that can feature this Navy SEAL logo. So when you see a Navy SEAL logo like this, you know that our watches are at least 200 meters water resistant as well. So when you go diving, yes, most recreational divers go up to 30 meters or 35 meters. So 200 meters is usually what is necessary because we always take a rule of thumb of, let's say you divide it by 2, that's like 100. Yeah, but no one really goes up to 100 meters. Yeah, but all of our watches are tested in the factory to be water resistant up to 200 meters. You know, so you know that when you receive your watch, that the water resistance of the watch is there, so that you can go diving. But please do note that water resistance is also nothing permanent, because wear and tear can affect a watch as well. Yeah. So other things, yeah.
Whilst you are talking about the rotational dial and the timekeeping methods of knowing how much time you spend at the bottom, I have a question from the audience. Rick Wong asks, how about diving more than 60 minutes? Isn't a dive computer preferred with info like depth, bottom time, temperature, and much more? So I believe, as Pamela has shared, it can be used as a backup. However, how do you calculate more than 60 minutes? Say, for example, 85 minutes.
Okay, then if it's 85 minutes, you know it's 60 plus 15. So you just monitor to make sure that the watch has complete one full rotation and finish out at the 15 minutes again. That's how I use it as well. And don't forget, we still have an hour hand as well. So you can still look at the hour hand. Yeah. So if you notice, a lot of things I'm sharing with you guys is about reading clearly time underwater. Okay, so one of the key things that we look out for when we do time underwater, when we have a dive watch, is the ability to read time clearly. So one of the best examples of reading time clearly would perhaps be this watch. Okay, so this watch is actually one of our top selling dive watches. Okay, sorry, it's a bit blur. One, legibility is a very important component because when you're underwater, you're wearing your goggles. You know, sunlight is not necessarily as clear as on land. You're not used to the way light is being cut off underwater. So one of the key components of being able to find a good dive watch is the ability to read time very clearly. So some of the important components we always look for in a dive watch is large numbers. It sounds very simple, but large numbers are crucial. The next important thing when we are talking about hours and minutes is the hands. So you always see also a very classic design in dive watches, right? That they will have very thick hour and minute hands indicated compared to a classic watch. If you're a classic watch, they want it to be very elegant, they want it to be very clean, so you use thinner hands. Whereas for a dive watch, the bigger the hands, the easier it is to read time. Yeah, so other things that you will probably want to look for in a dive watch is, other than water resistance, is where if you want something that's a little bit better, like this watch that I have here, is actually a screw down crown and a screw down case back. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see it, but let me try. So the difference between that and a typical push, the difference between a screw down crown and a screw down case back is that a screw down crown and screw down case back, I like to give this analogy, is basically like having a water bottle. Would you prefer a lid on water bottle or a screw down water bottle? So obviously a screw down water bottle, you know you're not going to get any leakages, and you'd rather put that in your handbag or your bag. Whereas a lid on water bottle, you always want to keep it straight up, right? So it's the same thing for watches. A screw down case bag, like what you see here, is also what I would recommend for a dive watch. A non-screw down case bag would probably look something closer to this, where you can see like there are 4 screws in the corners of the case. Yeah, so these are 200-meter water resistance. It will probably require you to take much better care of the watch versus something that is of a screw down quality. And a screw down crown is basically one where you actually have to screw here in order for the crown to pop out, and for you to adjust the time. So just make sure after you screw, you push it back and you screw it down, because we do have a lot of Luminox fans who accidentally forget to screw it back down, and that causes flooding, what we call flooding inside the watch. And that's not pretty, especially if you have salt water inside the watch. You know, salt water tends, like all other dive equipment, salt water will cause things to corrode a lot faster. So in the event that any one of you go diving and your watch does get flooded, try to bring it to the service center as soon as possible so that we can rescue as much of the watch as possible. Yeah, if that answers some queries.
Like as soon as possible.
Yeah, as soon as possible. The moment you land, try to bring it in. Don't wait for like 2 weeks. Because the salt water will corrode the movement first. Then after it corrodes the movement, the worst kind of corrosion we have seen in a watch is when the dial, because the dial is made out of metal, as well as the hands. They are all metal pieces. So if you get salt water to interact, rust appears. And I can't rescue a watch once rust starts appearing. So if any one of you have any dive watches out there, and if it accidentally gets flooded by any reason, or because something happens to the watch, please bring it into a service center as soon as possible so that we can quickly remove the salt water from the watch itself.
Does it help by rinsing with fresh water?
Water, it doesn't really help much, because right now we're talking about water entering the watch.
Yeah, I mean, so in between, because you need to travel to the service center. So in between, it's like if you severe a finger, you put in ice box. So is there any method like this to
There are a few tricks. It's not foolproof, but one trick is pull out the crown, okay, so that the water can evaporate out of the watch. Okay, and the other way is maybe put a blow dryer at where the crown is to get the water to evaporate a lot faster. If you are capable enough and won't lose any small screws, I would recommend you can open up the watch and try to dry it out as fast as possible. I wouldn't recommend rinsing it with fresh water. I think the trick is to dry it out ASAP. Yeah.
I hear you. We have another question from the audience. Dive watch is a good backup, no doubt. How about mechanic watch rather than battery operated?
That's a very, very good question. There are two school of thoughts for quartz watches, and I think both are fantastic options. There's no right or wrong. But for Luminox, we choose to do our watches, especially for diving. Number one, mainly in quartz watch. The most practical reason is price. We know automatic watches cost more than quartz watches in general. So you do want to, I don't know about you, but I don't want anything too expensive with me when I go diving, or something that I know I don't mind losing. The other reason for quartz watch is at the end of the day, quartz watches are also more accurate than automatic watches. Quartz watches are also easier to maintain in the long run. Yes, it is a battery replacement, but servicing an automatic watch can be higher cost. The other reason why I understand why the Navy SEALs prefer quartz watches is because quartz watches, they tend to be able to sweep the second hands by ticks. You know, you can anticipate the movement. Whereas in an automatic watch, it's a sweeping hand. So I know the Navy SEALs, they like the ability to anticipate the seconds, down to the seconds. Whereas on an automatic watch, you can't really anticipate that seconds because it's a sweeping hand movement that flows through very smoothly. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why Luminox chose to go quartz on our dive watches, and in fact, majority of our watches as well.
Interesting, Pamela. I would like to ask the model and name for that popular dive watch that you have just shown to us.
Sure. We actually have two. Okay. We actually have two very popular Navy SEAL collection. One of them I'm actually wearing. Okay, but this is a blackout version. I'm wearing it now mainly for fashion because it matches anything. It's very easy for me to even wear a dress with this, and I get away with, I look cool and yet elegant at the same time. But we also do have versions with very strong legible words, which you can find on our website at www.luminox.com.sg. So if you want something with white fonts or black fonts with a white background, we do have that available as well. So this is our Navy SEAL 3500 collection, okay, and it's priced at $650 before GST, okay. And the other one that I personally think is a great model is this model. It's the Luminox 3600 Navy SEAL watch, okay. This comes in this very funky blue and orange watch. It also comes in a classic black with some orange accents, and as well as a green colored dialed watch. So you can also check it out on our website. So this is retailing for about 800 Singapore dollars before GST.
Yeah, Pamela, I have next a personal question. I believe it's more or less related to diving. Luminox has this very special glow. I think it's Luminox signature.
Yes, thank you for mentioning it.
as
Yeah,
much as I
okay.
first understand and know about Luminox, I think I'm first being marketed as the special glow. I mean, that's what I know personally. Yeah.
Okay, if you
So
don't mind, can you just give me a few seconds? Let me off the lights and you can see what I mean.
sure, go ahead, please.
Okay, so it's all dark now. So what we're known for is our Luminox glow. Oh, hold on, let me. Oh shoot.
Just be
Okay.
careful.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my torchlight is missing.
So while
Okay,
Pamela
sorry.
is
Yeah, perhaps it's not. I'm not sure if you can see it here. Okay, it's a bit bright, so you can't see it now.
maybe dim down your laptop.
Yeah, hold on. Okay. Okay, can't really see it. Okay, I don't have my UV glow. Sorry. Having a bit of technical difficulties here.
Okay, so while Pamela is trying to fix and trying to do her best into showing, I believe if you guys were to head down to their showroom, I think you guys can experience that glow, which I've seen it personally myself. So prior to this, I believe every diver has their invisible ceilings. So having a dive computer and a dive watch actually backs up that timekeeping mechanism into knowing how much time you have spent underwater and how much more or less sailing time that you have contributed before your next ascent. So I think Pamela is ready. So let me hand back the mic to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult for me to demonstrate it now. But basically, if you look at our let me just show this to you. Okay, if you look at our watches, okay, our watches here, okay, if you look at it, right, on every hour marker, you will see there is a long white tube next to it. So this is it. Okay. Yeah, and it's seen on every hour marker, and it's also seen on our minute, hour hand, and seconds hand. We are also probably we are the pioneers in using this light technology. It's called the Luminox light technology or tritium gas tube. So it basically glows continuously for 24/7. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, up to 25 years. So that's the advantage of the Luminox watch, and that's why the Navy SEALs chose us. So the light source is a very important component of why they wanted to choose us, because yes, you can say that there are some digital watches with backlights that it's easy to press the button and then you can see the light, but what they have found that is a bit too glaring as well. We are also the only brand that offers light tubes on the minute, hour, and seconds hand. So that makes it easy to, thank you so much. That makes it easy to read the time underwater as well. We also offer a variety of colors on our light tubes. If you notice on the light tube, right, one of you will always notice the 12 o'clock will be a different color versus the rest of the light tubes, is to give you relative time in total darkness, so that you always know that the different colored tube is meant for 12 o'clock. Then you can count your time based on the rest of the light tube in total darkness. Other things that is special about our light technology is that we don't need any light source or battery to operate, so that is great. So a lot of other brands, dive watch brands out there, they require light source. So in other words, they need to put the watch under the light for a few hours to absorb, and then it will re-emit out. But over a duration of time, be it a few hours, the light will slowly diminish. Whereas for Luminox, we don't require any light source. You just take it out of the box and it will glow straight away if you go into the water. Interesting things to note about light colors. We commonly use green because green is the easiest for us to see in both land and in the water as well. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, you can also go and find our collections where we have blue color lights. And blue glows very nicely underwater, and green as well. I would highly recommend a green colored light or a blue colored light. Please do not go for the red or the orange because just based on the way light wavelength is, the red and the orange will appear to the naked eye to be not as bright.
Thanks, Pamela, for the recommendation. I'm just wondering if there is any kind of how do I put it? Mix and match customization. Say for example, okay, the picture that I just showed, okay, I believe is a certain kind of model. Then maybe I want my 1 to 12 to match the glowing light orange. And then I want my alternate light to be white and blue and white and blue. I mean,
okay, so for Luminox watches, the watches do need to be assembled in a safe environment because the lights are actually, like I said, it's tritium gas tube. Tritium gas tube is actually a controlled material because there's a little bit of radioactive material in there. But don't worry, it's very safe. If you swallow all the tubes, there's less radiation than taking a flight to Europe, and there's less radiation than compared to eating a banana every day for 1 year. Okay, so it's completely safe, okay? But I just want to say that manufacturing a Luminox product with the tritium gas tube requires a special licensed manufacturer to do it. So the factory has to undergo stringent quality controls and tests and create special environments in order to assemble the watch. So in terms of customization of the lights, it's not possible on an individual level. It might be possible on a corporate order, for example, if you have a certain quantities that you would like to do. Yeah, so that can be done. But take note that there are also the different lights also have different, apparently different radiation level. So I know that orange and red has also one of the higher level ones, and Luminox has a guideline that they follow internally to make sure that the watches are safe for everyday wear, or even if you accidentally consume the entire watch, it's safe. That is safe for consumption. So which is why our light tubes are also a standardized size. It's not meant to be too big, and it's meant, and the colors are also the amount of material used in the watch is also following a very safe guideline.
Nice. I'm glad that all the Luminox users out there are safe. Okay, this is some great information to know. I mean, we won't be eating our watch. We would like to wear it, but it's good information to know, definitely. I have another question from the audience, Pamela.
Sure.
Compared to many other brands like Seiko, Citizen, G-Shock, whatever it is out there, which operate on solar or kinetic energy, which I believe there are such technology out there on watch, which need not change battery for 10 or more years, keeping very accurate time. So how does this Luminox, other than this unique selling point, compare to the rest? Is there any in the near future, is there any development into this kind of technology?
Okay, so I think at the end of the day, those brands that you have mentioned, a lot of it is still Japanese made. I think the Swiss bring a certain level of quality to manufacturing their watches. So I think there's a lot of pride and there's a lot of skill set that goes behind the Swiss watchmaking industry as well. Yeah, so those brands that you have mentioned, yes, they use very creative technology, which I don't deny. But at the end of the day, I think we are looking at a dive watch that is reliable, and honestly, the quartz watch has been around for much, much longer than a lot of these solar technology. To be honest, I'm not sure how the solar technology works underwater, because especially once you go underwater and a bit deeper, light source is a bit limited. So I'm not quite sure to what extent a solar technology would survive. But I know quartz is reliable. I know how efficient it can be. And even if a Swiss quartz watch is running out of battery, you will know beforehand. One of the key indicators of a Swiss watch battery is that, time ticks every second, right? But once battery is dying on a Swiss watch, right, it actually jumps 3 seconds, and you will know you have about 2 to 4 more weeks before the watch completely stops moving. So the moment if before your dive trip, and if you see your watch, your Swiss watch is jumping 3 seconds at a time. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know that the battery is actually getting weaker, and what you can just do is just service it and switch the battery out. Yeah. So yeah, the solar is I know is a very convenient, and I've heard very good things about it, but I just haven't tested it underwater, and I just know my Swiss watch and the quartz watch, what it offers me in terms of reliability when you go on a dive trip, and I'm looking for reliability and safety when I'm diving.
Right. I also, as you mentioned, that the screw and water resistant function in Luminox watch. How about the maintenance aspects from diving with Luminox? So is it something, some care attention that needs to be put into? And how often is recommended for users of Luminox to double check their O-ring before their next adventure?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, in every watch, the case back and the crown, there will be a rubber ring. If you want to call it O-ring, that's fine. We call it gasket, which I think divers are also familiar with the term gasket as a rubber ring. I would recommend before a dive trip, if you just want to be very, very sure, to bring the watch to our service center to get it tested for water resistance. We have a air tester. So air molecules are much smaller than water molecules. So air molecules are better equipped at testing whether a watch has been compromised for water resistance. Do remember, a lot of brands will tell you that actually that we have 100-meter water resistance, we have 200-meter water resistance, but water resistance is actually something that's not permanent. So if you keep knocking your watch around, dropping your watch, you might actually create small hairline cracks in different parts of the watch that you might not know, be it on the glass or on the case. It can be any brand. So just remember that water resistance is nothing permanent. So one advice I would give for divers is that maybe just run through a quick water resistance test, and maybe change your battery, change the gasket at the same time, because anything rubber like our shoes, after wear and tear, it does crack. You know, sometimes maybe you might in fact, it was quite funny. I have a staff, a customer went up to her and said like, oh, but I left my watch in my closet. Why did the water resistance get compromised? Then my staff reply was this: sir, if I leave my handbag in the closet all the time and don't touch it, my handbag will also disintegrate. So it's the same thing, you know, if you don't wear your watch, if you don't wear your shoes, you don't wear your leather products, after a while, in fact, it disintegrates faster compared to if you wear it more regularly. I'm not sure how many of you have that kind of experience, but I'm guilty of that, you know. Yeah, so coming back to taking care of your watch, before your dive trip, I would recommend you just test out the water resistance. After you complete the dive, you know, just run it through clean water, just to remove the salt so that it doesn't make things dirty, because it actually can get quite dirty with like sweat stains if you don't clean it. And then maybe and for those who, like I mentioned earlier, whose watches get flooded during the dive, try to air the watch as fast as possible. If not, after your dive trip, send it to a service center as soon as possible.
All right, Pamela, I guess for the compromise and servicing of watches, I believe are the same. Even for scuba equipment, if you leave out and not use for a year, I think certain part of the O-ring and some of the moving parts will be subjected to residues or evaporation of salt water left over. I mean, even if you thoroughly rinse it, I experienced it myself, there will be some parts that will fail if you don't service your scuba equipment regularly. So yeah, I do also agree with you. Scuba equipment are meant for regular scuba diving and regular saltwater immersion. So for Luminox, that comes back to Luminox. If that Luminox dive watch is built for diving, does it benefit more if it's immersed into salt water or bring for diving frequently than to just dive for once or twice a year?
To me, Luminox watch, I wear my watch every day and it's fine. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm a recreational diver, so I don't have time to dive all the time. So just wearing it day to day is fine. But of course, if you love diving, yeah, go dive more and bring your Luminox more often underwater. That's great.
I have also experience in using some chemical wash off product, like some products are marketed or mentioned about them. Please use this product, add a bit into your fresh water, and then you rinse it so that it removes the salt. So is it safe to rinse Luminox in such chemicals? How resistant is it?
I think at the end of the day, like what they teach you in basic diving on how to take care of your equipment, fresh water is fine. I think don't complicate our lives and just go back to basics. You know, in the dive watch, we are talking about going back to basics. We're talking about going back to what we know. Is the same for, I believe, in dive equipment as well. If you go back to one of your first few classes on diving, open water lessons, they will tell you rinse it in fresh water, it's fine. They don't want you to mess around with it too much.
Good piece of advice. I have a question from Dion. which comes back to the flooding of watch. Is it true to put the watch cover to put the watch and submerge it into rice? And does it help if it's flooded accidentally after diving, and then to dry it off, put in something that can absorb moisture, I guess, to rephrase the question?
To be honest, I've not heard that. It sounds possible because it sounds like something you would do for household equipment, or what I might see my mom do for some household items. But to be honest, I've not tried it. It'll be interesting. I might want to try it one day just to see where this goes. But no, I cannot give a firm answer on that because it seems I've never tried it and I've never read anything on it before as well.
I think we shouldn't try something that is not scientifically proven or proven that it worked before. So use it with caution if you want to choose that method, Dion. So I recommend to bring it back to the authorized Luminox service center to get it properly looked if you happen to flood the watch.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Let's see if there's any more questions. Let me just check the audience, check with the audience if there's any questions in regards to Luminox. Whilst can we have a look at the blue? Is it the same model, the blue strap and the black strap? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is actually our Scott Purcell Timepiece. So Scott Purcell is one of our brand ambassadors. He's actually a former combat diver, and he has now retired and moved his energy towards non-profit projects. He has moved himself to non-profit projects in terms of saving the ocean and saving ocean creatures, which is great. So this is a very interesting piece. Not sure if you can see it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what is very unique about this, right, is actually the bezel. Okay. So this is what we call a crown protector. Okay, as well as a bezel locking system. Okay, so now that it's pulled out, I can turn my crown freely. I can unscrew my crown. I can turn my bezel, sorry, this is the bezel, freely. I can also unscrew the crown. Okay, I can unscrew the crown. Okay, if I try pushing this back, okay, and I didn't do it properly, right? You can see, I can't close this thing. So this acts like a good reminder as well to make sure that you lock in your water resistance. Okay, so now assuming that I lock this in properly. Okay, so this comes down. I can't turn my bezel anymore. This bezel is locked. Okay, so what is the good thing? So you can see that this locking system has two safety considerations in it. One is to make sure the crown is properly screwed in. So that ensures that water doesn't enter the watch. And also locking in the bezel also means your bezel doesn't turn. So if your bezel doesn't turn, you actually lock in your time. Because when we are diving, we like to tinker around with our equipment underwater, even though we're not supposed to, or take something and tap here, tap there. Yeah. So the bezel can turn around can sometimes turn quite easily. So having this lock system ensures that you maintain the time at a certain you measure your time properly and accurately. If not, a safety feature in most dive watches is that the bezel will tend to slip, and if it slips, it shortens your duration underwater. Yeah, so is this the blue watch?
Okay. How many current range of dive watches or models you have that is in production still? So I believe there is some old timepiece that is no more in production, but currently, how many different models are available to choose from?
Wait, let me just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we have 7 different collections, and each of the collections has 3 to 5 different color variants. So we have easily we have easily 35 to 40 different watches that I would easily say it's I can recommend for diving, not a problem.
Which if consumer would like to get one, they are able to get. I mean, with that model, that color is still current in production.
Yes, you should visit our website, www.luminox.com.sg. You will be able to see, click on C series, and just make sure the spec says 200 meters water resistance and above.
I see. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have a lot.
So I guess the one that you're wearing is a leatherback sea turtle. Am I correct?
No, the one that I'm wearing is the 3500 Navy SEAL watch. One other thing to add about Luminox watches is that we tend to use carbon material because it's strong and lightweight. Because honestly, when you go diving, you really don't want anything too, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but there are so many things to carry in diving, and honestly, I'm a very lazy diver, so I don't want more weight on myself. So carbon was a very important consideration for Luminox as well when it came to their dive watches. Yeah, so the one I'm wearing right now is the 3500 Navy SEALs. In case you're really not sure, if I'm not wrong, on our website we do have a tab which says Navy SEALs collection. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. So what's the difference between I'm at the website now. What's the difference between the Navy SEALs and the sea? I mean,
so Navy SEALs collection is like sea collection basically is the sea turtle is actually our entry price level watch. So that one it's only at 100 meters water resistance. Okay, but other than the sea turtle, all other sea collections are rated 200 meter or some even 300 meter water resistance. Navy SEALs is basically the watches where if you look at the case back, like this one, you will see the Navy SEAL logo. Yeah, so this has the Navy SEAL Trident logo on the case back. So that is the main differences that we have, because Luminox is also a supporter of the Navy SEAL Foundation. So the Navy SEAL Foundation actually helps all the retired SEALs to go back to normal life. Some also have disabilities. So Luminox, so that foundation also helps them, or some of them actually, one other beneficiary of the foundation is actually family members who lost a loved one because he was a Navy SEAL.
Maybe sometime in the near future we can have ADEX logo.
Sorry?
Maybe sometime in the future we can have ADEX logo. I'm just kidding.
ADEX logo. All right, okay, you can look for me. You never know.
So yeah. So much about today's and tonight's introduction. I believe other than the special glow and the material that is used is carbon, right?
Yeah, carbon.
Carbon. Is there any, as I asked, there is all the on the website, there's all the current models. Is there any special discontinued models that is kept in the museum so far for the sea, for diving watches, diving series, or is still all current?
It's all current.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that is on my website is all current models right now. We have this. Okay, there are maybe we have the second generation Navy SEAL watches as well. That was the color mark watch. We also have the Scott Cassell automatic watches. So that is really limited, and I think I only have 1 or 2 pieces left in Singapore for that, and that is an automatic. That one goes up to 500 meters water resistance and has an automatic helium release valve. So I would say it's more for technical or commercial divers, but for most recreational divers up to 30 or 35 meters, it's probably fine to not need automatic helium release valve on your watch.
That's really technical.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just wow. Let me just refer to Facebook. Just give me a second. Somebody from the audience mentioned that it's not as heavy as the tank. I guess he's
but
to
some of the dive watches out there, I mean, don't forget, when watches are built, right, the higher the water resistance on a watch, the thicker the watch becomes, right? So the thicker a watch becomes, the more you also have to compensate on the bend. So the heavier the watch becomes. So what I really, really love about Luminox is the use of carbon, whereas a lot of watches use stainless steel. So when they use stainless steel, because they need to hit 200 meters water resistance, 300 meter water resistance, that bulks up the case. And then once they put a bracelet that can match the overall aesthetic of a watch, that gives you a cufflink on your hand. So I'm quite happy to have carbon on my watch.
Talking about that, I have seen personally a record holder dive watch. Oh my God, his watch is a rock.
Yeah.
Three
I mean,
times.
that's the only way they can build water resistance that way.
The glass is also like a magnifying glass. I mean, it's really thick. It's wow. It's like a dictionary's thickness.
Yeah, those are probably like 1,000 meters, but it's not necessary for most people, I think, unless you're a record holder.
I have another question. For the range of 100 meter water resistant, is it recommended for scuba diving?
I would try not to. If you do, you have to take even more care around it. Like I said, I would really, really recommend just go for 200 meters and above. 400 meters, if you want to do extreme sports and everything, it's fine. And you want to go swimming with it, it's fine. But scuba diving, I think you need to take a lot more care around the watch, because the watch is only tested up to 100 meters. And for the entry price level watch, the reason why, which is the Sea Turtle at 100 meters, aside from the water resistance, the other reason why it's also priced a little bit lower is we only have 6 gas tubes on the watch. So it means that if you are doing a night dive, you only can see 6 lights. So it will jump, the timing will jump. So you have to take note of that. So I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't recommend it. But if you're doing a simple, if you're doing a sports activity, swimming, practicing some simple free dive in the pool, I think it's fine. But I personally wouldn't want to bring that model out for a dive.
I guess that answers Rick's next question. only 200-meter water resistance is good for scuba diving.
Yes.
So yeah. So
yeah.
that,
In the
that
watch
makes
world,
more
200 meters is the bare minimum for scuba diving. 500 meters is recommended if you're a commercial or technical diver.
I don't think there is a lot of 500-meter watch built out there. Am I right?
Because it's not, most of us don't dive into that level unless, like I said, you do diving for a living because you're cleaning some shit yacht, or you really, really love technical diving. Then I think some of them do consider 500 meters, but I think for most of us who are just recreational divers, be it dive masters or not, a 200-meter would probably serve just as well.
All right. I think we have about 1 to 2 minutes more. Let's wait a while more to see if there's any other question.
Sure.
So let me share one picture that is shared with me by Pamela. Pamela sent me this this picture taken underwater. So 1 second, let me share my screen. While waiting for more questions, Pamela, why did you choose this picture, and which model is this?
Why did I choose this picture? Because it's the clearest that I could get. Like I said, I'm a recreational diver, so I'm not very good at taking photos underwater. So this is the clearest shot I could get. But if not, what you see, this green watch, this is actually the green version of this watch. So this watch, which I showed earlier, has a blue dial and an orange strap. What you see over here is actually a green dial with black straps. So this is the 3600 Navy SEAL watch. It's the one that comes with the screw down crown and screw down case back.
Going back to the picture, I think the strap that is next to this Luminox watch is a dive computer. So back to the same thing that we shared as a backup, and having both it acts as a safety net for all divers.
Yes.
Can't agree to more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think if there's no more question, I would like to end off this live webinar, and we will play our next advertisement after this. So before we go, thank you, Pamela, for your time and the great introduction of this Luminox range of dive watches. Yeah, and the material, the material that's made, and especially one very interesting thing that I learned is the glow dial that is safe, even though it's a special way of glowing. Yeah, this is something I learned. Thanks for the insightful information. It's good to know. So thanks for your time again, and thanks Luminox, thanks Crystal Time Singapore Private Limited for sharing and having this range of dive watches. So if you are looking for any dive watches, feel free to go to our website, Luminox website, and take a look. So once again, thank you, and have a good night, and stay safe, Pamela.
Yeah, you too, and for everyone as well, stay safe.
And then once the circuit breaker is broken, then we meet in person for coffee, and maybe at ADEX preferably.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sure. So all right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, and good night, Pamela.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.